yeah. Nailed it. Smooth. Nice. These ones are pretty fun now after hitting them once. Whoa, oh my gosh. Dude. Did you hit that one last time?
That one perfectly last time.
Wow, that looked like a first try.
Enduro racing is not very popular in southern Wisconsin, so when I saw this one pop up, I had to check it out. I had never been here before, but I got there early enough to do a couple runs to get a feel for what the terrain was like. This was a 3-stage race with women's, men's, and junior categories.
Stage 1, see how slow and out of shape I really am.
This stage started off on Slingshot Trail, which is not very steep, so it required a lot of pumping and pedaling where you could. The jumps were very small, so it was all about staying low and trying to keep flowing lines. Breathing and conserving energy was also probably very important, but I didn't do that very well. When I normally ride trails like this, I just ride them fast enough to do the jumps and have some fun, and I'm not pushing that extra little bit that you do in a race run, so I wasn't sure what my body was going to give me here. The course then transitioned to Gatekeeper Trail, which was similar with more jumps, rollers, and berms, but it was more flat, so it required even more pedaling, and I was not ready for that.
Legs are so shot.
A couple spots were pretty soft and sandy, including this double berm here where I slid the tires just enough to feel like I was almost going to crash, and then I had to get back on the pedals even harder, which drained me for this final section. And there were 2 small tabletops that you had too much speed for, so you're trying to stay low, but I didn't have all that much energy to do them right. Got a little kick on that last one, but I kept it together to maintain a decent pace to the finish.
Go!
Stage 2 started off on Stairway to Heaven, which is one of their climbing trails to the top, but it proved to be the most technical going down. This was the only rocky spot of the race, and it had this off-camber turn with a slight uphill between some tight trees and more rocks. If you overshot that corner or took a bad line here, you could lose a lot of time. The rest of the trail was pretty skinny, where you really had to look ahead and stay on your line, make sure you caught the corners, because if you did overshoot any of them, it could lead to a crash pretty quickly. So I just focused on not so much going fast, but trying to stay on the trail and breathe enough to save some energy for what was to come. This was my favorite part of the race because it was more technical and not so fast, but that was all about to change. The course took a turn off of Stairway and onto this wide path. This is where I should have been sprinting as hard as I could. I did shift up and put some pedals in, but I wanted to save some energy for this roller section here because there was a double in, and then I was trying to pre-jump and pump the back sides of all these rollers. Some of them were pretty tall, so it was pretty hard to do. It also took a lot of energy, and I used just about everything I had. Then there was a hard left that you had all kinds of speed for, and coming out of that corner, I was in too high of a gear. I couldn't pull it, needed a rest. I actually put my dropper post up and took a little break before this section because I didn't know what exactly was coming. I did not pre-ride this part, and I wanted to be able to sprint to the finish. I didn't have all that much left, and I didn't know where the finish was exactly, so it wasn't the best ending, but I thought maybe I gained enough in the rollers to salvage a decent finish there.
One, go!
Stage 3 started in the same spot that Stage 1 did on Slingshot Trail. The trail had dried out a bit and was running faster after everyone had ridden it, so I was hoping that would lead to less energy usage, but I was wrong. It still took a lot of pedaling and pumping. I just tried to stick to the same lines that I had already hit since I knew what they were going to do. I did try to focus on being a little bit smoother and breathing more, but I still wore myself out pretty quick. It's pretty surprising how quickly your legs can go in something like this. You're not used to it and not in shape for it. It really wears you down faster than you would expect. Or I guess it does for me anyway. I really wanted to double manual out of this corner, but never had the extra energy to pull it off. This course took a right here onto Teapot Trail, which had a slightly uphill entry to it.
Legs are done.
So you really had to work for it to keep your speed up. I was really feeling it at this point, and I knew what was to come on the trail ahead. A lot more rollers and small jumps that took a lot of energy because they were on relatively flat ground, so there was a lot more pedaling and pumping to be done. I made a little mistake here by getting too far right and missing the smooth entry to the corner. That made it sharper and took some of my momentum, so I had to pedal hard out of it to keep my speed up. Then I had to take a little break and back it off for a second. The rest of the trail was really mellow, but I didn't have much energy left, so that actually made it pretty intense. It was a short run, but it was feeling long at this point. I really wanted to be able to sprint to the finish, but I just didn't have a lot to give. I knew the times were close, so I didn't want to give up too much in this final section. As soon as I heard the bells and saw the finish, I tried to put everything I had into it, and I found just a little more energy to finish with some speed. I ended up winning, but only by a few seconds, so I'm glad I didn't take too much of a break on that run.
I hate my legs. They just don't work in the middle.
At the end.
Well, I took a break in the middle so I could pedal at the end.
Next up was a style jam, which I didn't know much about and I didn't have plans on even riding in, but when I saw the first spot, it looked like too much fun, so I had to get in on it. The step up to sand landing was perfect to try tricks, but I didn't have a whole lot of ideas. There were some flip attempts, and this guy was definitely boosting the highest, but this kid had the best trick with his 540 on his last try.
Missed it already.
The next jam spot was on the dirt jumps, which I couldn't really figure out. I never felt that comfortable hitting them. They were really steep and really short, so you had to go pretty high to make them work, and that's just not my style. So I was trying to manual all of the rollers next to the jumps, which proved to be very difficult. I did get it my second try practicing, but I just couldn't quite get it done in the actual competition. The first 3 rollers were really tough because they had some angle to them and some bumps. There's also a tree that they were pushing you into, and then after that, it was downhill, but it was very hard to keep enough speed to get the last few because it was pretty flat at the end. I got very close on my very last try, put the front end down on the last one and popped out of it. I wasn't happy with it, but at least it was something different from what everyone else is doing, right?
Yeah, that was weak.
Here's the attempt before the competition started.
Got it.
The last spot was on 3 much bigger dirt jumps, which were a lot more fun to hit, but I didn't have very many ideas for what I could do on them. I just tried to do some whips and a toboggan at the end, but it had been so long since I had done one, I needed to get another try in to get more extension on it. With 1 run left and not very many ideas, I thought maybe I could land in a manual on the second jump and hold it to the base of the third one and still jump it, but I didn't think about the slight turn from the second to the third, so I was offline and had to bail on the third hit. I ended up 3rd overall in the shred and style, so I'm glad I did it. It was a lot of fun to mix it up and do something so different. I haven't even raced a bicycle for a couple of years, it feels like. It was a fun event overall. I'm glad I went and hope to do some more.